Going down to this basement and this part, I still can feel it. What's up guys? Welcome to a brand new series that I'm starting on my channel called Sunday Stories. Every Sunday I'm gonna do story time and tell you guys about something. So today I am telling you about the time that I snuck into an abandoned hospital. When I say snuck, technically I broke in because it was like private property and there were signs that said no trespassing, but YouTube, don't ban me. I did illegal things in my past. I'm better now. And we're gonna get ready together and just talk about it. This hospital was just a regular hospital in my hometown, Windsor, Ontario. So the hospital shut down. My friends and I came up with a crazy idea to sneak in and explore this haunted, abandoned hospital before they tore it down. Now, this was all the way back in 2011. How old was I? I was just young, okay? I was young. And who went was me, and I had two girlfriends. One of them brought her boyfriend and her two brothers. So it was 3 girls, 3 guys. We really didn't go into it with much. We had beer. We had flashlights. We did not have iPhones back in the day. We had crappy Blackberries or flip phones. So the photos I'm going to show you aren't the best quality, but like, you know, they're still pictures. And that's about it. And we did have a case of beer because we were told from people in the city that you could actually get up to the rooftop if you could figure it out. And then you'd have this beautiful view of the city and the Ambassador Bridge that goes to Detroit. So we were like, screw it. We're gonna climb to the rooftop and have a beer. I think you do have to be a little bit out of your mind to do something like this. And I don't mean drunk, I was dead sober. I mean just like, you know, you gotta be a little crazy. If we got caught, if a demon decided to possess me, whole bunch of things. Now the biggest question we get anytime I've like talked about this is, how did you break in? And I'm gonna preface by saying it really wasn't that hard. When I say abandoned, it was pretty much falling apart. The hospital itself was really old. We didn't actually have to physically break anything or worry about alarms. Like, this hospital was abandoned as can be, and you will see that. And the only way to really get in was a window if you wanted to get to the main hospital. This hospital was actually on a pretty busy street, but because we went at nighttime and we all wore black and stuff, or like dark colors, you know, we just hoped that we would get away with it. And we did, by the way. If you're wondering if I got caught or arrested, spoiler alert, I did not. I actually have pictures of the exact window that we snuck into. The only problem was that all the windows were off of the ground, so getting in was the hardest part. We boosted each other, basically. Like, all the boys boosted the girls in first, and then the guys just figured it out for themselves. I'm actually gonna go through in a bit when I'm done my makeup. I'm gonna go through all the artifacts and stuff that I took pictures of that we found in there. Some of the pictures are really cool. Another question that people always ask, weren't you scared? 100%. But that was the fun in it. It was fun to be scared. It was more fun than scary. There were a few moments that were really scary, but also we were scared of just like running into maybe a homeless person on accident and them startling us because we didn't know they were in there. Keep in mind, there was no electricity, none of that. The elevators that we saw, which you will see photos of, were not working. Everything was out of commission. So the only lights we really had were our cell phone lights, Blackberries and flip phones, and small flashlights. We actually had to turn the flashlights off when on the upper levels because we didn't want people from the street seeing flashlights in there because then they would call the cops. That was probably one of the scariest parts. You were basically just getting light through the broken walls and windows of the place, like from the moon at night. I have one photo of me walking in this place, my friend and I walking down the hallway with a flashlight. That is the only picture I have of me in there. Let's talk about one of the worst areas of the hospital that it was to be in, the kids area. The kids section was the most put apart section of the entire hospital still. All the walls were up still. You know, there were some beds. It was pretty put together. And what made it really hard was honestly just knowing what it was and how sad that is. All the paintings on the wall were still there, and I remember us all just like standing there quietly when we started to see the kids' handprints on the wall, and it had their names and the dates that went all the way back to like 2006, 2007. There was a painting that said Goodbye Grace or Goodbye Gracie. And it just started bringing back, like, there were actual lives in this hospital and there were sick kids in here. And it was just very emotional and surreal to see these paintings and these handprints. And I don't know, it was obviously scary, but it was also very emotional and very, very sad. With that came a very creepy part. One of the items that we found was a doll. The doll didn't have any clothes on, and there was like orange spray paint, and it was in the kids section just laying on the floor by itself. And I remember we were all just like, ooh, we have seen too many movies with dolls to know that this thing could be haunted. But it was also, you know, really sad because that was also probably once a doll to one of those kids. So they did have the bathroom. You could tell it was a bathroom, but obviously you could not use the facility. Obviously you could not use the facility. Oh my God, the facilities. Getting to the rooftop was harder than getting into the hospital. We found only one way of entry, and it was really, honestly, I didn't trust it. The stairs were so worn out. I was saying a prayer the whole way up, like, if these break, we're screwed once we're up there. We won't have a way down. The hatch to get on the roof was so worn out that we could bust it open, and my friend's older brother did that, so we were able to get up there. This all would not have been possible if the hospital wasn't in such a rundown shape, because it just wouldn't have been doable. So once we got on the roof, obviously we kind of had to stay low because the hospital wasn't very tall. And you will see that looking down at the pictures. Like, if you saw people up there with flashlights from the road, like, you would be able to see them and you would probably call the cops. So we quickly took our pictures. You will see the Ambassador Bridge there in the one picture and our little city of Windsor. Once we took our pictures, we just had a blast hanging out up there. We thought it'd be funny to like tell scary stories. We thought it'd be funny to talk about some of the things we said. We all cheers with a beer. I don't know. It was one of those experiences that I think you only do when you're young, and something I will just always remember. You know, like, I really will only do that once in my life, and I'm happy I did it, and it was an absolute blast. All right, now we're gonna get into the things that we specifically saw and took pictures of, starting with this 7 years mirror. Obviously, I don't think anyone who goes into an abandoned, haunted hospital wants to see a broken mirror that says 7 years. Someone else had been in there and did that, which honestly kind of made it a little creepier to me. There were a few beds. Obviously, none of the mattresses were still there. They probably took all of the supplies and stuff when they left the hospital. And in that picture of the one that's reclined, look at all the scratches on the camera and stuff going across the camera. Isn't that kind of weird? I don't know. That's sketchy to me, because none of the other ones have it. Oh, like, look at all the rust. I remember my friend who was a nurse at the time saying, like, anything rusty and stuff like that, like, don't touch it in case it's sharp and it cuts you. Like, we basically did not touch anything. Like, absolutely nothing. There's some beds, but this is just a room in general. There was a desk in this room, which I'm going to show you guys. There was some stuff in the drawers still. It's hard to say, like, what part of the hospital this was. I remember we were trying to guess a lot of the times. Like, I wonder what this was. Like, was this just a regular patient room? Was it a waiting room? Like, we were trying to guess. A lot of the signs we couldn't either see because it was dark or it was just worn out. Next up, we have this little pulley or carrier. I don't really know. It's kind of like a cart. Is that a leg? Oh my God, I hope that's one of my friend's legs right there in the back. Oh, okay, this was by far the worst room ever. So scary. We all just got really freaked out down there. Bad energy, bad vibes. I don't know. You don't even have to like believe in ghosts and stuff like that. It was just like going down to this basement and this part, I still can feel it. Like how I just had this overwhelming fear and feeling of just being really anxious and really scared. I don't know what it was. Nothing else really got me in the hospital, but this room, okay? This was the cold room. I don't know the proper term for it, but there was a sign. I don't think I have a picture. I feel you, baby. I don't have a picture of the sign, but it was the cold room, basically where it's like the morgue, where they store the dead bodies. Trigger warning if you don't want to hear about it. Obviously I did not see any, so it's nothing like that, but this is where they'd store them. So the temperature of the room was kept very cold during use of the hospital, and you could still feel how freaking cold it was in there. And they had these conveyor belts. And when I asked my nurse friend, I don't know if she was just making this up to be honest or what, but apparently like this conveyor belt was massive. It pretty much filled the whole center of the room, and she was saying that that is where the bodies would be on there, and it would, you know, it's like a pulley, like it would move. That room, even just looking at it, I still get the fan. Honestly, I wish I took this fan. It was very rusted. I don't know. I didn't want to risk it, but I love the look of that fan now and how vintage it is. All these little moments and things we saw just made it feel real, that this was once an operating hospital where, you know, people went to visit their family members, their friends, where nurses went to work. It made it feel more real, seeing these little things in there instead of it just being like empty and just broken walls. Like, we found the office, which I thought was really cool at the time. We really wanted to go in. I think the door was locked. We looked inside with our flashlights, nothing really to it. Oh my God, this scale, what a vintage piece. Like I said, obviously now looking back, it's really cool because the dates on the hospital walls were, even in the kids section, were like 2006, 2007, somewhere before. Like this was a really old hospital. So I can only imagine where some of this equipment started. Well, I am officially ready for the day. That is my story time for today. That is the time that I snuck into an abandoned hospital. Not my proudest moment in the sense that it was definitely illegal and probably unsafe, but a proud moment because you only live once and I would do it all over again. What a surreal experience to have the memories for. So let me know what you guys want for future Storytime Sundays. I already know what I'm talking about next week because I've posted about it. Next week is the time I got my middle finger pierced. That's all you need to know. I will see you guys next Sunday. Stay classy out there and stay sassy.